Hi everyone, I'm Kisha, your host of Beauty and the Wise, the ultimate lifestyle and wellness podcast where we empower women over 40 to redefine the narrative around what aging looks like for them. Whether you call it aging gracefully, healthy aging, pro-aging, or even anti-aging, at Beauty and the Wise, we want to encourage you, empower you. We want to help you advocate for your own health and wellness while falling in love with taking care of yourself. Today's guest is a great friend of mine, and she understands the importance of finding that uniqueness about yourself, helping you find your purpose, your passion. Nikki Fagan, welcome to Beauty and the Wise.
Thank you, Kisha. I'm so happy to be here.
You know, I should have said Nikki Fagan, cheerleader, because that's what you are today.
I do feel like that, actually.
You are. Tell us about your journey. Tell us, how did we get here?
Well, how did we get here? Well, we got here because it was about 10 years ago now that I really felt like I was stuck on a hamster wheel. And I was going around in circles and I wasn't progressing or the expectations of progression that I had on myself anyway. And I was completely frustrated with where I was. And I knew I was an artist. I knew I was creative. And I just felt stuck. I couldn't even create. And so I would tell my partners at the time, I would tell my friends at the time, like, I just don't feel myself. Something feels off. Nobody understood it. I mean, I didn't understand it, right? So how could they? And so I kept doing the brand lion. And then finally during the pandemic, I just decided to blow the entire thing up. And I got frustrated.
Got it.
And I just let it go. And when I let it go, I got still. I got quiet. And I dug deep to find out what it really was that I wanted to do. And so I decided, I kind of picked out the bones of the meal and said, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. And I ended up saying that I wanted to do some fractional marketing for people, right? And so I approached the airport and I said to them, listen, here's what I want to do for you. And they were kind of shocked, right? Because they kind of had some kind of standard expectations. And I was like, here's what I want to do for you. And the rest is history.
Okay.
The rest is history. And that's how I got here. I really was absolutely stuck. And it felt like I was on a hamster wheel, and it was so frustrating.
Okay. So let's break this down because there's a lot in there.
There's a lot.
So let's start out with the motivation piece. Like you said, the frustration, you're feeling stuck. How do you even find the motivation to figure out, I need to get out of this. I need to get off this hamster wheel and do this?
Well, thankfully for me, I totally believe in purpose, right? And so thankfully for me, purpose was kind of sitting on my shoulder and wouldn't go away.
Okay.
And so it continued to be patient with me as I tried to interpret what it was trying to tell me that I was supposed to be doing. And for me, it kept pointing me to different directions. So it pointed me first to a mastermind.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And then after the mastermind, it pointed me to form my own group.
Okay.
And after that, it pointed me, and the mastermind I paid for, the group was free. Then it pointed me to actually charging for services.
Okay.
Right? And so it just would not give up even when I was tempted to give up on myself. So, I'm so grateful and I believe so strongly in purpose. And once we have it and really identify that, that it will not let go.
It's like this radical concept, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And some people don't know how to identify that it's sitting right there. It's waiting for you to realize it. It's waiting for you to wake up.
Wake up.
Yeah.
Wake up. Absolutely. You know, the hardest thing about purpose for me, when I, you call me a cheerleader just now, but when I, talk to women, one of the most difficult things for me is when a woman doesn't understand that when she doesn't fulfill her purpose, that is not simply her that she's letting down, right? It's not simply her. When purpose is real and true and you honor that, it's everyone else that you were meant to help that is going to lose out.
Yeah.
Right? So for me, that's one of the most difficult things to watch when a woman doesn't fulfill her purpose or follow through with her purpose, Yeah.
So I know for me, I struggled for many, many years trying to figure out what was my purpose. What was I supposed to be doing? Because you're right, we spend so much of our lives going through the motion of what everybody tells us we're supposed to do.
Yes.
What we're supposed to accomplish, what success looks like. So I really struggled. And people would say, oh, I know what my purpose is, or I'm supposed. To me, it was this artsy world.
Absolutely.
And that was foreign to me. I could not figure it out. And like you said, it's the getting still.
It matters. It matters. Because, right now, when we came up, we had a microwave world, right?
Exactly.
And we thought that was pretty fancy, right? But now the world moves so quickly. There's so much information coming to us from so many different sources. And there's so much information coming to us from so many different sources. And it can be really overwhelming.
It can. Especially, I think, when you're like, how do you help women figure out, with all this information out there, all this stuff that's feeling us like it's too much for us, identify your strengths, identify, your weaknesses, identify this, figure it out. How can you break it down?
Yes. Well, one of my favorite starting places, and women have a hard time with this exercise. So one of my favorite starting points is to simply say to a woman, look at your emails, look at your telephone, look at your WhatsApp. What is a consistent theme in there for what people are asking you for advice, for what people are relying on you for? When people are reaching out to you, what is the consistency in their ask, right?
Gosh, okay.
And that oftentimes provides a lot of clarity because, if there are already people reaching out to you for a thing, they've already identified you as the expert in the room in that thing, right? So if you were to look at your WhatsApp right now and say, well, what's the consistent thing that people are? Kisha, do you know this? Kisha, do you have that? Kisha, what do you think about this? I promise you, there is some consistency in there.
Well, what if I have a lot of unread messages?
No, I can't help you with that part. I can't help you with that part.
The acts.
But if we need a place to start, that's a nice little exercise to start in. A second exercise I do with people is and this is another one that women have a hard time with doing, is I say to them, go out to your friends and ask them, what's my superpower?
Oh my God. I remember you told me to do this.
Yes.
Yeah. It was hard to hear, actually.
Yeah.
Because I thought I had different superpowers than what they actually told me. It was uncomfortable.
It was uncomfortable.
It was definitely uncomfortable.
It's the truth. And I think it's uncomfortable for a few reasons, right? Like, it's uncomfortable because we don't like the accolades, right? It's uncomfortable because hearing someone say all these things about you that maybe you haven't resolved in yourself that you deserve, right? Like, it's uncomfortable because maybe you thought you were the expert in one thing.
Yeah, exactly.
but you're actually the expert in something else. Right? It's uncomfortable for a few reasons. And that's why that exercise is so powerful. Right? Like seeing how other people see you.
Yeah. And I guess when you're asking other women or other people, whoever your community is, you trust these individuals. I mean, that's also important as well. Surrounding yourself with a support group.
The absolute. I mean, I don't know if it's just Bermuda or not, but certainly this is where I'm spent the majority of my life. But like, when it comes to support systems, I was always taught, I need to get ahead. I need to do this thing alone. That there would be some level of jealousy, there would be some level of selfishness, and all of this. Like, those are the things that were kind of subconsciously threaded into my growing up. And as I got older, I realized that, well, one, I don't want to do it all by myself. I don't want to do it all by myself. And then number two, I don't actually have the expertise to do it all by myself. And then number three, it feels really good to be able to lean on somebody sometimes. It feels yes, right? And so, friend groups are super important. Somewhere you can be soft, especially as like corporate women working in this world. Somewhere you can be soft. You don't have to be in charge. You don't have to be the leader. You don't have to know it all. Like, support circles are super, super important.
Exactly. And I guess it looks different because your friends change as you get older. These groups change as you get older.
Absolutely.
People come and go in your life. So yeah, maybe your support circle in one area looks different from another area, another group.
Absolutely. I think, you and I have talked about this before at what it looks like when support groups change, right? And so for me, I didn't realize that they should change. I thought I had this one group of people who, have been my group of friends for 20 years, and those would be my group of friends forever. I wasn't prepared that for the next level of my life, I needed a different type of person supporting me.
And maybe it is maybe it's a couple of those ride or dies that you had forever. And then it's a mix of new faces that are in the group.
And I think that level of maturity is super important as you're trying to get to the next step, to identify when it's time to shift, when it's time maybe to top up your friend circle and add a couple more people. Add people that have more expertise and experience, with the thing that you're trying to do or get accomplished. Super important. I don't even think it's fair to our regular friend circle. I don't think it's fair to expect them to even be there during some of these things.
Yeah.
It's not their thing, right? And so, they can be there, on a superficial level. But if you really need true support, you're going to need to extend your support circles.
Okay. That is definitely, that's the key, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think people feel guilty because they realize, oh my God, my best friend, I can't turn to that person. I need to actually look over here at somebody else. Well, you get support in two different ways from these two different individuals.
I'm going to tell you a funny story. When I realized one of my major shifts, I had a friend circle and I was supposed to be going to dinner, and I was supposed to be bringing corn. And I could not be bothered to cook the corn. It was just frozen corn. It wasn't even fresh corn, right? It was only frozen corn. I could not be bothered to cook the corn. I literally took the corn, dropped the corn off, frozen, in the bag, and said, I'm going. I'm leaving. I'm not staying. And it was at that point that I said, I am not going to stay in a friend circle that I cannot be bothered to cook the corn.
Hey, that's Sometimes you got to draw the line
If
somewhere.
I can't cook corn for you,
Exactly.
it's time. It's time if I can't cook the corn for you. God. But, it's a bigger metaphor because, we do so many things out of obligation. We do so many things because we think we have to. We do so many things because our mama said so, because our auntie expects us to, because that's my dad's friend. We do so many things like that, right? And for me, I had my friend circle for a long time, right? And so, we were supposed to have this dinner and I was supposed to bring corn and I didn't feel like doing it, right?
Yeah.
And so, that kind of internal fight. And the thing is, when I was young, I used to, the older people used to always say, I'm at the age now where I can do whatever I want. And I think I'm getting to that age where I can unapologetically make decisions that don't always please everybody.
Yeah. And this is a new concept. It is.
Oh my goodness.
It is. It is. And you have to let go of all of this stuff. Like you said, all these expectations, all the judgments, all the things our mothers told us that we had to do. And
yes. And it's tough.
It is.
Because you feel lots of guilt. You feel, yes, you're like, oh my God, what are people going to think of me? Am I a decent person?
That's just letting a friend go or changing a circle. You haven't even done a career shift or anything major.
And I always say, okay, listen, we are, here in Bermuda, we are Black women living in a colony. And so we come with all sorts of expectations and all sorts of oppressions, right? And so, we feel obligated to things that, it could really just like suffocate us and stop us from moving.
Yes.
Growing up how we grew up.
Yes. And it's not even, it's that. It's also add on the fear of failure, add on the extra judgment. This could just keep you on that hamster wheel.
On the hamster wheel. That's exactly where it keeps you. That's exactly where it keeps you. Yeah.
Now, I know you work a lot with entrepreneurs as well.
I do.
Especially again, older women that are looking for something different to do, looking for a change. And let's talk about that message about it's never too late to start something new, whatever it is, whether you want to start a new hobby or change careers or start a new business.
With entrepreneurs, one of the amazing things about, and I work with male and female entrepreneurs, but I work more so with women entrepreneurs at this point in my life. And one of the things that is the most amazing thing about women entrepreneurs is that they'll come to you and they say, they'll say to me, Nikki, I want to have a popcorn business. And I'll say, wonderful, you want to have a popcorn business? Yes, but I just need do a little something, bring in a little extra money, and that'll be okay if I just do that.
Okay.
And I say, okay, well, let me help you build your popcorn business, right? Let's structure this popcorn business. And so we go through all the frameworks and everything necessary for this business. Come to find out, they don't just want a popcorn business. They want a factory in India that's sustainable, and they want the gasoline to, that powers the popcorn factory to be sustainable, and they want to employ fair trade workers. But you know how long it takes us to get there? It takes us a long time to get there for them to be brave enough to say the thing they actually want, to admit to the bigness of the dream that they're actually dreaming. And even when they finally admit it, there's still some reservation in building it.
Absolutely. How many times have I called you, Nikki? What am I doing? Did I do the right thing? Did I make the right decision? I can't do this. Yeah.
It's amazing. My one kind of bright spot is that, as these younger generations, they are coming up differently than us, right? They are, quote unquote, allowed to dream big right from the start. They're allowed to be fully girls and fully like embrace every part of themselves. And that is not a negative. That is not something that's looked down upon at all. And they are going to kind of grip the world by the balls.
Yes. Yeah.
That is a beautiful bright spot for me because, you know, I love entrepreneurs generally, but like there is definitely they're definitely holding back. They're definitely holding back. And we see it all the time in Bermuda as businesses, you know, they come and they only come a little bit. They only show up just a little bit and they're not powerfully showing up at all. Right. And then we see an announcement a year, 2 years, 5 years later that says, you know, I'm closing down. Right. And then they say, well, I wasn't supported in this way. I wasn't supported in that way. And then I always have the conversation with myself and say, you weren't supported, but did you support yourself? Right. Well, did you dream loudly? I mean, unfortunately, dreaming loudly means you're actually going to fail out loud too, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And that's scary. I know that's scary, but it has to happen. The more failures you have, the better you get at something.
But do you find people are afraid to dream loudly because they think, oh, someone's going to take my dream. Someone is going to take it and do it better.
Yes.
No, it's my dream. It's I have to keep it close.
Yes. I tell my dreams to everybody. I tell them to everybody because I welcome you to attempt to take it. What I know for sure is that the dream is not going to be my dream anymore at that point, right? I welcome you to take it. I welcome you to try it. I think that could really handicap you. You know, concentrating on that too much. I'm not fearful at all that someone can make a vision happen like how I can make a vision happen.
Because it's yours.
It's mine. It's mine. And as I work with women entrepreneurs, I give them ideas all the time. I give away ideas all the time, right? It's not mine, right? Like as you build your business with me, as you unfold your idea with me, that's not mine, right? And so it doesn't matter how I suggest things should go. It's not mine. It's yours, right? And I believe in the power of collaboration.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't fear it at all. So no, I don't worry.
The circle, the support.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You need to be able to trust your circle, to share your ideas, share your dreams, collaborate. Maybe that's just your idea, your brain trust. I don't know.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay.
What's been the hardest struggle for you with entrepreneurship?
You know me. I think I can do, the to-do list is long. I'm supposed to do everything and all the things all the time. That is my biggest struggle is offloading and asking for help. Because I hear my Nikki voice, well, that's not your zone of genius. Let it go. And I struggle with that because again, I think that's my superpower. I'm supposed to do all of it. So that is definitely my biggest struggle. Not even from an entrepreneurial standpoint, but just life. Like I think I have to do all of it. Everything. I have to take care of everything.
And you know, the thing is that, now this the hard thing you might not want to hear because you know that that's actually trauma. That's a trauma response that we have that makes us feel like we need to do it all. And we need to get it all done perfectly.
Exactly. Perfectionism. It's crazy.
Awful. Awful. Debilitating.
But when do we realize enough is enough? Right? Yeah.
Well, you know, if I have to be frank, I think enough is not enough because you haven't realized it yet. Oftentimes what happens, unfortunately, is that we break.
Yes. Yes.
And then enough is finally done.
Exactly. And break looks different for everybody.
It does. It does. But that's often the point where we're finally like, okay, no, I normally take on 15 things at a time. I cannot. Physically, I'm exhausted. Mentally, I'm exhausted. I'm broken. I cannot. And then that sit still thing that I talked about earlier, you ain't got no choice to keep your butt still, innit?
Exactly. Exactly. And it's crazy because I know these things. And I've been to that point where you break and you identify, you know what it feels like. So yes, when the to-do list, when things start creeping back and I'm like, oh, Kisha, you gotta do it all. Yeah, I do. I have to remind myself and pause. But it's hard
Of course.
for me to do it. But I know what breaking feels like. And I know what asking for help feels like as well. Yeah, I get it.
And remembering to be gentle with ourselves, right? Because if we be fair to ourselves, it has been 40 something years of us being conditioned in this way, right? So one breakage or one misstep is not going to set us on the right path immediately,
Exactly.
right? So just being gentle with yourself to say, hey, you know what? Okay, this time it didn't work. I'm going to have to get back on the horse again.
Yeah.
Right? That's
I
super
agree.
important because, even, back to the perfectionism that we were talking about. We really do think that we're supposed to get it right the first time.
Yes.
How were we raised?
Exactly.
How were we raised? What level of expectations were put on us? What did we see mirrored? Right? Like, what in the world?
Why do we think that it has to be right? It has to be absolutely perfect. There's nobody else that can do it. It has to be done a certain way. It's all on you.
I know. It's really, it's exhausting as well, is what it is.
It
It's
is.
exhausting.
It is. But once you figure it, I mean, this is where the growth comes from.
Yeah.
This is where it comes
Yeah.
from.
I was saying to a friend earlier today that I actually do not think that the majority of my friends had an actionable growth anytime before mid 40s. I feel like the actionable growth, actually, I'm witnessing now as we
40.
hit. Yeah.
After 40.
Yes. I mean, there was no growth in 20s. I got to tell you.
No, not.
That was not a GROWTH in my 20s,
fun, but
it
there was no growth.
Yes. I mean, not any actionable growth. Okay. And then my 30s, right? Like there was still exploration. There was a lot of exploration still happening in my 30s. My early 40s, I had my first conscious awareness, but it still hadn't converted to action. Yeah. But now,
So it's that concept of, when they say when you reach 40, you just didn't care anymore. It really is an actual event.
it's true.
And it may take a while after you turn 40 to
Yes.
figure out what that means.
Yes.
But you're absolutely right. I probably have seen most of my growth definitely in my 40s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mid time. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Imagine what 50 is going to be like.
I mean, complete like revelation.
Yeah.
Right? Like I can't imagine if my 40s are so full of growth and actionable growth, right? And what my 50s could possibly look like. And we've heard it, right? We've heard when women reach a certain age and they're like, oh my God, my 40s are amazing, my 50s are amazing. And I'm looking at them like, whatever, I'm 30, right?
Exactly. This is great. You have no idea.
You really don't know until you get her.
Exactly. And this is why it's so important for women to understand it's not too late to start something new with this newfound actual growth, this new reality. It's not too late.
It's absolutely not. 100%.
Yeah.
And I think, it's very easy for us to get into these patterns where we become mothers and wives and caregivers. Now, as we, go into our later 40s, you go into caregiver mood and you then forget all of the things that make you happy or once made you happy. You forget that you want things, right, that are outside your family. It's very easy to fall into those patterns.
It is. There's dreams that you talked about.
There's dreams. It's very easy to forget them. And, there are some people where family is their dream, right? And I fully respect that. But then there are others of us that there are dreams that sit outside of our family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what are we going to do about them?
Well, I'm living them out loud.
Okay.
I am absolutely living them out loud. I'm not only living them out loud, I'm failing them out loud too. Right? So if you ever see me do something and it don't work, that's on purpose, that I'm told everybody. Right? And I mean, and the great thing is that failure starts to happen faster, right? Like, so for me, it's like, okay, it doesn't take me as long to learn the lesson now, right? Like, okay, yes. I did it that way. It took me 3 months last time. This time I had it figured out in 6 weeks.
Got it.
You know what I mean?
And I'm moving on.
And I'm moving on. I'm not going to stay stuck in the fact that it didn't work. Yes. Listen, y'all, you might want to hurry up and get up into this stuff, because some magical things happen in this age.
Exactly. All those goals we had written down on that notepad out there. Yeah, we could pull it out.
Yeah. And, one of the things that I totally enjoy doing is, there's lists that we always make. And, both of us are journalists, but there's lists that we always make. I am perfectly happy at this point in my life to say, okay, that one didn't work for this quarter. Let's turn it up and start a different list, right? I'm not wed to what I obligated myself to do at a time that I wasn't prepared to do it.
Exactly.
Right?
Right season.
It wasn't the right season. And that part is important because sometimes, we can get stuck in the fact of like, oh my God, I made this list. I didn't tick all of these off by a certain time. And then we keep this list, this useless list that I didn't have the skills or the tools to accomplish when I made it anyway. So here I am obligating myself to something that I don't even have a skill set to make happen.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, I know that's something I am happy that my 40s have allowed me to let go of.
That's self-reflection.
I mean, self-awareness in itself, that is golden. To recognize what makes you happy, what makes you sad. Yes. Right? Not these things that we're saying, okay, well, I used to like this, or me and my friends used to do that. And so expecting yourself to steal. No. The things that actually make you happy, the things that actually make you sad, the people who actually your spirit actually connects to, right? Like people who you can spend time with and they don't take away from you, they add to you. That's a skill.
It is. It really is. It really is. And it's so important. And again, it keeps coming back to this circle of friends, this community.
Absolutely. Super important.
We feed off of each other's energy.
And like being able to renegotiate friendships, I think is super important, right? Like being able to say in either a friendship or a relationship to say, listen, here's what I needed at the time that we came together. Right? And we had a good time. But here's the season I am at in my life right now. Do you think that you'll be able to ride this out with me?
That's an honest conversation.
Yes, no. Depending on their answer, understanding your own boundaries.
Yep.
Right? And saying, okay, well, you know what? I love you. I love you for what we did together, what we were for each other in the past, but I'm going to have to move in a different direction.
Yeah.
That conversation, being able to renegotiate, I talk about this all the time, renegotiating relationships in your life, right? The same way you would go to a boss, a job, and say, listen, I've been working here for 15 years. I'd like to get a different opportunity. Here's what I have. Here's what's going on. Can I have a different opportunity? The same thing with the relationships in your life.
That's a good point, because we outgrow people.
We outgrow people.
And then you just drift apart and nobody says anything.
Yes.
And it's kind of uncomfortable at points.
Yes.
Whereas, we're at a mature age, or we're at an age in our lives where we could say, you know what? Maybe our friendship ran its course, or whatever this relationship was. We're good. We're still good people, but we're giving separate.
Absolutely. Self-awareness, that's where self-awareness comes in, because self-awareness will allow you to have the conversation, or at least offer the conversation. Somebody might not be willing to have it back with you, right? So self-awareness will allow you to offer the conversation, have the conversation or not, and be okay with what comes out of it.
Be okay with it. Because some people may take it personally.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. I no longer feel obligated to what you feel. Right? I feel obligated to what I intended. So I don't feel obligated with what you feel. And I know that I never, at this point in my life, come from a place of malice. I just don't, right? I lead with kindness. I teach my daughter to lead with kindness. So I am never intentionally trying to hurt your feelings. So with that, I'm okay with whatever comes out of that.
Yeah.
It's just not my responsibility. You're talking about weight of the world. You know how much weight we have when we consider that everybody's problems are our responsibility?
Exactly. We have to take it on. I have to be mindful and tiptoe around you because I don't know how you're going to respond.
Yeah. No. And so, again, back to the friend circle. Like when you cultivate a really healthy friend circle, you can navigate in that space without having to do that.
Yeah. Because you're being genuine. You're showing up as your authentic self.
Exactly.
And you're right. You click or you don't click.
Or not. And that's okay if we don't, right? And that's okay if we did when we were 15.
Yes.
And that's okay if we did when we were 20, 25. And that's okay if we did yesterday. But if today we do not, the idea of being mature enough and aware enough of self to be able to say, you know what? This doesn't actually work for me anymore, but I wish you the best. In not a sarcastic or facetious way, but I wish you the best, right? Because everything comes back to you anyway, right? So you start wishing people bad and wondering why it comes boomerangs back around to you, right?
I send everybody love these days.
Yeah.
I'm sending you love.
Yes. Yes. And it's super important to get there, it takes some time to get
a while to get there.
It takes some time to get there. Yes.
Because like you said, you have to appreciate I just have to appreciate you. And this is who you are, and this is how far our relationship has gotten to. And okay, I'm good. I know I'm not gonna beat myself over the head with, well, how come she's not doing this? How come Nikki's not how come she's not acting like, no, I can't.
You cannot.
I can take responsibility for myself.
It's true. It's true. But that feels so good.
It does.
That feels good when you put that in practice, because breakups that used to have you on the couch with chocolate ice cream and, pickle chips or whatever, those type of breakups don't happen anymore.
Yeah, they don't.
Because you can literally see that you and this person are not an energetic match.
Exactly.
And then you can let it go.
And work on you. And focus on you.
Absolutely.
Recognize the lesson.
Oh my God. You know how much calories I could have saved With this knowledge in my 20s and 30s, my God.
Better late than never.
It's true. It's
Better
true.
late than never.
Thankful that here I am with the knowledge I have now.
Exactly. The growth.
And I will never be on the couch again with Rocky Road ice cream and pickled chips. I will never.
Unless I want to.
Unless that's what I want.
Exactly.
But it's certainly not going to be driven there by depression and a bad breakup. It takes some time though to get there. It takes some time.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. It does.
Yeah, I agree.
A lot of sitting still, like you said.
You know how hard it is to sit still?
Oh yes, absolutely.
I don't know. Like I don't know how amazing you are at meditation, and I do best with guided meditation, but certainly meditation where I have to sit quietly and listen to all the thoughts in my head.
No, I can't.
That's not my ministry right there.
It's one of those things I always wanted to. Oh, I want to be able to sit and meditate.
Yes.
I want to be able to do this, but I realize it doesn't look like what I think it looks like.
Hello. Yes.
So I had to kind of create my own meditation, even though mine is still going.
Of course.
It just looks differently for me now.
But I'm telling you, Mike, the guided meditation is the only way I've been able to get through meditation with someone giving me, prompts here and there. Because other than that, I will get lost in the expanse that is my mind. Okay? I will get lost in there.
It's definitely a work in progress for me. I mean, Jesus, I had to write "Be Still." That's one of my tattoos from a while ago because I need the reminder. But
I'm telling you,
being still, it looks different for me.
Yeah. So, what does stillness look like for you now?
It's definitely a place of comfort. Like I know when I'm comfortable, I can create. I can do it. It feels. It just feels warm. It just makes me feel really happy. Like I'm in a happy spot. I know that, and maybe things could be going on, and I have to remove myself to get back to that place. And sitting still could just be me talking to myself, reminding myself, you can't take it all on. Maybe that's what it is. Sitting still is me saying a few affirmations to myself, or it's literally just a time for me to reflect.
Yeah.
And it could be 2 minutes. And then I have to go back to whatever I was dealing with, but I'm coming at it from a different place. It could be me accepting, you know what? You can't control anybody else.
Hello.
You gotta, snap back, be resilient. Come on, let's figure this out.
Yeah.
Get back in there. It looks different for me in so many ways.
So now that you have this knowledge, how are you sharing this with your son?
You know what? I have a Summersfield kid. So he definitely shares a lot with me. He keeps me in check. He'll be the one to say, "Mom, you're being mean," or "Mom, you need to check." Like, go back inside or take a minute. But I try to tell him, and for men anyway, it's difficult to share their emotions. And I always want him to be comfortable to talk to me about anything. But what I try to tell him is, or I try to check in with him. That's how I get him on the same page in regards to your emotions and emotional intelligence. Like, to me, that's really important. He plays a lot of sports. And so I could see frustration. Like, he plays a lot of tennis. Tennis is it's all mental. And so I come at it from a place of, what do you need to check in with yourself? What do you need to take a minute? Go for a walk. I don't know. Just stop, pause. And that's what I find myself, me as a mother, I have to pause sometimes. You piss me off in a minute. But I have to pause before I can react. And so trying to get him to do the same, trying to identify that 1 second before you're about to kind of snap take a minute. Think about what it is that you're trying to accomplish here. And I mean, he's only 14, it's difficult, but it's really just trying to get him to pause more.
And be conscious of it.
And be conscious
of that moment before.
Yes.
That is powerful, right? To be conscious of the moment before. The moment before you're happy, the moment before you're sad, the moment before you're angry.
Exactly.
The moment before you lose control.
Like what got us there.
Being able to pull back and be like, okay, let me be conscious of it so that I either do not fully go into it at this point.
Exactly.
Or I am conscious enough to say, okay, well, next time I can do better.
And we'll have conversations. And he'll say, you know, oh, of course, did you clean your room? Did you do that? I'm like, Mom, it will get done.
Right.
But calm down and then we can talk. Like, it's putting me in check. And you know, that probably irritates me even more. But I can appreciate, you're absolutely right. I'm talking to a young man.
Right.
First of all, I need to show him how a woman should even communicate with him, first of all.
Absolutely.
So it's definitely, it's so many different levels to it, all in a few seconds, as a mother trying to kind of get this message across and trying to teach him. Yeah. Reframe, you know, what's going on.
But look how much further it's going to be.
I know. It's going to be a good man.
It's going to be a good man, Savannah. Look how much farther it's going to be. I agree. I do the same thing with my daughter. I mean, you know, she will often come to me and give me her poppet. Tell me to go take some time on the couch. And breathe. You know, she's good for telling me to breathe.
Oh, yes.
So absolutely. But the idea of learning from life and now being able to impart these lessons to people who will now do more with it.
I know. But remember when our mothers or our parents were trying to do this to us?
Vaguely. Vaguely. You know, there might have been one or two lessons. I don't. They're blurry.
Yes, very. But I'm trying. I really am, because you're right. You know, most of our growth is happening now. So of course you want to teach them. You want to. I could see exactly where this is heading. Let's just try and cut that off before we even get there. And yeah, you want them to learn. You want them to figure out. But I also hope that I'm giving them the tools, like you said, to recognize, to pause.
Yes. And even if the tools don't kind of show themselves right away, I think that we are sending far better adults into the world, far more equipped adults into the world emotionally, which is super important, right? Like the idea of allowing outside forces to get us to a point where we lose control emotionally. It sounds crazy now, but it used to be a standard.
Exactly.
It sounds crazy now, but you know, definitely was a way of life at one point.
But yes, I definitely am very mindful about how I come across as a mother, as a female in my son's life. Yeah, it's not easy. It's definitely not easy.
I can't imagine.
It's not. And like you said, I know, you know, we want to raise these emotionally intelligent individuals.
You know, there's all sorts of skills that we can ensure that they have. We can ensure that they go to sports lessons. We can ensure that they go to tutors. We can ensure that they go to Cub Scouts or whatever, right? But the idea of emotional awareness and intelligence, that's not something that we can necessarily put them in a class for. That's something they need to actually see demonstrated in the home.
Exactly.
From us as parents.
Exactly. Which is why it's important that I have to appreciate when he calls me out. Says, take a minute. Or let's let's start this conversation again. Or
Now that's hilarious because I couldn't imagine calling my mama
oh my God.
nothing. There wouldn't have been a call out. No, ma'am.
Exactly.
There would
But
not.
you're right. But it's so simple. Like he'll say, Mom, why are you shouting at me?
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk. And I'm like, damn.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter has actually like quit summer camp because she says, Mom, it's clear the teachers don't like children because they're shouting.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like she was like, that doesn't make any sense. Why?
Exactly.
Why can't she just talk to me? And so she has decided that is not the place for her. And so then,
Which
her.
makes sense.
Yes.
Like who wants to go somewhere or have a conversation with someone that's just shouting at you?
It's the truth. I mean, because as adults, we wouldn't tolerate it.
Exactly. Exactly.
But yet, we have our children in these organizations, in these places that's exactly what.
Exactly.
And that's what we were expected to do as well, right?
Mm-hmm. 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 Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, we could talk forever, Nikki.
We can. That's what we do.
But yes, anything that you want to share, final moments, anything, what's going on? What's next?
What's next? So I am currently writing a book.
Ooh, yes.
And I'm not actually, I'm fancying myself quite the author lately. I'm writing a few books, but the first one is called Always Never. We're sequenced on Sundays. And it is all about society's expectations and living our lives out loud and not submitting to the woulda, shoulda, couldas.
Okay.
Yes. And so that is what my next project is. I'm really excited about it as well. The idea of having this guide to kind of work through these issues is something that, I wish I had. And oftentimes entrepreneurs are like that. They create the things that they actually need in their lives, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, we will look forward to seeing that and support you however we can.
Yes, yes. I know you will.
So I asked all my guests, and given everything that you know now, in this growth stage of life, what would you tell your younger self, especially when it comes to, your health and well-being?
Yes. So I feel like I would tell my younger self that you're exactly where you need to be. I truly believe that, at one point in time before my kind of healing journey began, I absolutely would have had regrets about the past, about what I shoulda, coulda, woulda did. At this point in my life, I am happy to accept the fact that everything is happening exactly as it should.
Okay.
I'm exactly where I need to be at exactly the right time. That's what I believe now.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you're here at this exact time.
At this exact time.
For having you.
I'm glad that you invited me. Thank you.
No problem. No problem. Thank you for our guests today. And if you want to see this episode and future episodes, you can visit inzuriwellness.com to see all of our podcasts. As usual, if there's any topics that you would be interested in hearing about, any guests that you think we should interview, send us a line at info@inzuriwellness.com and I will be sure to look out for that. And thanks again for joining us at Beauty and the Wise.